One injured as Wetangula and Kombo supporters clash. Dismantling his ICC case. First round win for Uhuru. But what does it mean?
Sasa ikionekana mwenye kulinda mali ya wananchi ndiye anachukua. Wananchi wa kawaida sasa atafanya atalindwa na nani?
There is a forensic investigation going on Westgate, and therefore it is not appropriate for us to start talking matters Westgate now.
Varying views from Kenyans as government officials remain mum on factual events inside Westgate. And we will tell you why topping up your phone is a healthy step.
KTN Weekend Prime with Yvonne Okwara.
Good evening and a very warm welcome to KTN Weekend Prime. Thank you so much for joining us on this long weekend. It is the eve of Mashujaa Day, formerly known as Kenyatta Day. I hope that long weekend has started off very well for you. Remember, every Saturday, as we will do today, it's KTN Job Center. We are putting potential job seekers with their potential employers, putting them together. If you want to get in touch with us, KTN Job Center at standardmedia.co.ke, or simply send us a tweet at KTN Job Center. And on my big break tonight, we are talking to the man who has been declared one of Kenya's billionaires, in fact, one of Africa's billionaires. What is his recipe for success? My exclusive chat with Dr. Manu Chandaria is coming up later in this bulletin, so please do stay with us throughout our bulletin tonight. But first, let's begin our Weekend Prime bulletin in Bungoma, and with exactly 2 months away to the Bungoma Senate by-election, political bigwigs in the region are flexing their muscles ahead of the official start of the campaigns. Now, an ugly scene was witnessed this afternoon in Tongaren area when Musikari Kombo, the successful petitioner, shared a podium with Moses Wetangula during a burial of local politician. Now, supporters of the two politicians violently clashed, with one person seriously injured. This is now raising fears of a possible gruesome campaign period. KTN's Francis Ontuoma witnessed the fighting and now reports.
Luya village in Tongaren constituency and mourners are gathered here today to pay their last respect to a departed loved one. It is a funeral ceremony that ought to have panned out just like any other, but not until politicians arrived and changed their rules of the engagement. Political interests clashed and hell broke loose as scuffles emerged when supporters allied to Bungoma senatorial race rivals Moses Wetangula and Musikari Kombo met at the burial site of another politician's mother. Things started to boil and mourners will not let anyone speak after competing interests emerged and no efforts to contain the situation bore fruits. First to arrive was Wetangula and his foot soldiers, who included former Lugari lawmaker Cyrus Jirongo. Then came in Kombo, accompanied by former Justice Minister Eugene Wamalwa. It all started well until two youthful politicians, who included the Kakamega Deputy Speaker, took to the podium lashing out at Wamalwa.
It has been displayed in the eyes of all the voters of Bungoma that one of us is determined to use violence in order to get votes. And I want to tell you that they will not, I repeat, they will not succeed. We will win this seat hands down because the people of Bungoma are tired of violence, are tired of intimidation, and they need liberation. And I, Kombo, nitakomboa county ya Bungoma.
To land has been planned to invoke violence as a tool of campaigns, propaganda as a tool of campaigns, and intimidation.
Not even official campaigns have started, but the rivalry of the two leaders may set a stage for a bruising battle to capture the vacant seat. Francis Ontomwa, KTN Prime, Bungoma.
Now, tension remains high in Baragoi in Samburu County following yesterday's attacks that left 4 people dead in the Wasorongai area. The Kenya Red Cross Society has told KTN that Samburu leaders who visited the area today called for quick state action to forestall revenge attacks. KTN's Notiana reports.
Doctors fight to save the lives of those injured in the fresh attacks in Wasorongai sublocation of Baragoi area. A 10-year-old boy among those whose blood was shed in the vast grazing fields of Wasorongai, the land of cattle keepers. According to the Kenya Red Cross Society, it is those very precious cattle that were the target of the raiders in this latest attack. 2 neighboring communities are locked in a never-ending cross-border cycle of cattle rustling that has proven deadly and impossible to resolve. Tonight, the Wasorongai residents go to bed in fear, but according to the Kenya Red Cross Society, so do the leaders on both sides of the border between Samburu and Turkana.
Sisi serikali haina kitu kusaidia sisi. Sababu kama serikali ingetoa ile bunduki, hawa watu ndio wangekufa. Hii ndege leo ingekuja kiwanja kama serikali wangechukua ile hatua wakati askari wao. Na sasa tunakuja mpaka nini? Mimi sana kuja hapa. Mimi nakuja hapa kumza, akasema leo operation. Atuoni kishote.
The assistant chief in Wasorongai insists that the guns used yesterday could be from the Baragoi massacre of November 2012 when 42 police officers and reservists were killed in Suguta Valley during a mission to recover stolen cattle.
Ni kitu ya kila wiki. Wakili hata watu wakiona sisi kila siku kama leaders tunapika kelele, watu wakafikiria, wengine wanafikiria tunakichaa ama sisi ni wendazimu. Ni kitu ile unaona, unasikia, unajua watu wanajipanga kuua wengine kila siku. Kwa hivyo nafikiri hii tumewashia mkono wa serikali ili tuone njia ile watafanya, kwa sababu hii ni kitu wameelewa na ni kitu wanajua.
The type or the source of weapons used yesterday has not been officially confirmed by state security agencies. Now, KTN Weekend Prime.
Now let's move to that trial at The Hague. In the International Criminal Court, judges may have handed President Uhuru Kenyatta a temporary reprieve to concentrate on dispensing his constitutional mandate. But the president appears keen to stop his case altogether by way of case dismissal. Uhuru has made several applications before the War Crimes Court that gives a pointer of a president preaching commitment, but employing underhand tactics to forestall his appearance at the court. Samagina reports.
It may be a round 1 win for President Uhuru Kenyatta against the ICC following the ICC judge's decision to excuse the president from continuous appearance before the court. The president has been on an offensive to forestall being tried at a foreign court. Experts say the excusal decision might be a double-edged sword.
It may have favored Uhuru Kenyatta in a limited sense, because other than being in court for the entirety of the proceedings, he will now have more time to deal with his constitutional obligations in the country.
The judges in their decision excused President Uhuru Kenyatta from all trial sessions, save for crucial sessions where he will be required to appear. Failure to which the judges warned of wavering their decision or sanction for an arrest warrant. But on his ceaseless affront on the court, the president made another application to attend his trial through a video link, an application that is still pending.
When you look at it from that angle, the second option or the second application is more weighty and more favorable to him. So I think while we look at it as a reprieve to Uhuru Kenyatta, but to the full extent, it is not really what he may have desired.
The decision to excuse the president from all trial sessions comes hot on the heels of Africa Union resolution to jolt Uhuru from attending his trial until the United Nations Security Council grants a year deferral to the Kenyan cases. On his multi-pronged approach not to set foot as president in the War Crimes Court, the president has filed for the dismissal of his case alleging prosecution tampering with witnesses to implicate him.
The now situation may come in, and it may actually be a temporary reprieve to both the president and his deputy. But when you project it now into the future, I think it is a little bit risky, both to their presidential bid in future and also to the harmony within the country.
The judges nonetheless asked President Uhuru Kenyatta to desist from using the title His Excellency while making his applications before the court. Uhuru's status changed since being elected president.
The minute that he was elected into office, they stopped being personal problems, they first became national problems, and eventually regional problems.
To me, that is a silent way of telling His Excellency the President that by your use of titles, you're trying to intimidate both the prosecution and the court. Please stop using these titles. Maybe silently the court is also intimidated.
A dilemma, however, looms given the prosecution appealed against the judge's decision excusing Deputy President William Ruto from attending all court sessions. Samugina, KTN.
Now, a cross-section of Kenyans have expressed outrage over the CCTV video clips that captured some soldiers carrying white polythene bags from the Westgate Mall, whose contents could not be seen. They want action taken against the soldiers should investigations reveal the polythene bags might have been used to whisk away looted goods from the mall during the terror attack. KDF, on the other hand, says it is still carrying out investigations on allegations of looting and would issue a comprehensive statement soon. Patrick Amimo reports.
TV images that we were able to access.
Our investigative segment of Jicho Pevu and Inside Story showed exclusive CCTV footage that captured a section of soldiers carrying items out of the Westgate Mall in white polythene bags. The action by these soldiers, some of whom even attempted to open safes, have fueled speculation that some rogue soldiers were here on a looting spree.
There should be a very stern action with the soldiers because they are disrespecting the KDF. In the first instance, they should be taken to court martials so that they are aligned there for the mistake they did.
It can be mineral water. They were carrying soldier mineral water, not anything that is something which is against the government.
If they could go there to loot the Westgate instead of rescuing, then I just felt maybe it was something that was planned before.
Everybody is a positive thief, so I don't blame the KDF. They are merely doing what Kenyans do and what Kenyans do best.
The Cabinet Secretary for Interior was not ready to discuss the video footage that shows some soldiers behaving badly.
There is a forensic investigation going on Westgate, and therefore it is not appropriate for us to start talking matters Westgate now.
Ningetaka rais wa Kenya Mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta aingilie jambo hili. Kwanza adili na wale officials kwa sababu imeonekana ya kweli pia yeye mwenyewe walikuwa wanampatia bad information. Hapo akimpatia the true thing yenye ilikuwa kule Westgate.
Early this month, KDF on the official Twitter account appealed to the public to avail concrete information and evidence pointing to any KDF personnel engaging in unprofessional conduct. This came following complaints from business owners at the mall that their property had been looted. Major Emmanuel Chirchir last night tweeted that he was watching Jicho Pevu and Inside Story and asked Kenyans to pour out their concerns. This week Thursday, chairpersons of the Joint Parliamentary Committee on National Security and Defense dismissed reports of looting at the mall.
We have seen all the clips, all the CCTV footage, and confirmed that KDF soldiers and all the officers who participated in that operation never, and I want to use the word never, participated in looting.
Some people would want to use the cover of the Westgate attack to circumvent the issue of terrorist insurance and now claim insurance for theft and for looting.
Then what kind of parliamentarians are we having at the moment if they allow by saying the KDF didn't steal and yet they haven't done conclusive investigation?
Both the police and KDF say they are investigating claims of security officers looting at the mall, and it will be interesting to hear the outcome. Patrick Amimo, KTN.
And just a reminder that due to public demand, we will be airing KTN's Jicho Pevu and the Inside Story again tomorrow night at 7:30 and at 9:30 p.m. respectively. So please do tune in for that. Now, tomorrow the country commemorates the 4th Mashujaa Day under the current constitution. The Mau Mau war veterans who were instrumental in the fight for independence were recently awarded hefty sums of money from the British government after successfully petitioning for atrocities committed during the colonial period. Now, regarded as country's heroes, those who are expecting to be paid, say, a portion of the 1.8 billion shillings, they say that amount is not enough. Carol Derry visited one of the Mau Mau fighters and brings us the following story.
A visit by KTN to this homestead in Gatitu, Nyeri County, convenes a meeting with 85-year-old Wambogo Nyinki. His unhurried walking style and use of a walking stick are clear proof of his age and diminishing health status. He tells us that the biting cold in London, where he spent considerable amount of time chasing the famous Mau Mau compensation claim, affected his health. Him, together with Jane Muthoni Mara and Paulo Mwakanzili, were the claimants in London representing their fellow freedom fighters, together with their lawyers Paul Mwite and Martin Day. The late Ndiki Mutuiwa Mutua passed on before the case progressed. Wambogo is glad that their efforts paid off and got the British government, through its Foreign Secretary William Hague, to admit the atrocities committed against Kenyans during the struggle for freedom.
The British government recognises that Kenyans were subject to torture and other forms of ill treatment at the hands of the colonial administration.
The 1.8 billion shillings to be paid out as compensation to 5,228 freedom fighters, Wambogo Nyingi included, is not enough, they say. Far from it.
Hii ni pesa kidogo kwangu. Mimi siwezi kujua ati mitapanga nini. Kwangu ni pesa kidogo. Ni kama mtu anakunywa chai tu.
Many of the freedom fighters have since passed on, and those alive today are living in abject poverty. And according to Wambogo, the 340,000 shillings to be paid out to each claimant does not begin to compensate for the ills committed. But what matters most to him is that the British government did express regret.
Maritikia sisi ni watu hapana, ile marikoma nasema ati sisi ni kama jagiri, sisi hapana jagiri. Marijua sisi ni watu wa kuitiza uhuru yao.
Women were tortured sexually, men whipped mercilessly, denied food and tortured in inhumane ways, stripped of their dignity. Wambogo says he was detained in 16 camps.
Kwa maana mimi mwenyewe nilipigwa baka nikarara kwa maiti siku 3.
Since the money barely scratches the surface, what they have been asking for is land, and that is what will put their minds at ease.
Kama mtu apate eka 10. Si hapana ursa mingi 10. Kwa maana kutoka hapa unaona Chania baka kwenda Nyahururu, Demruti na Ikuru, sisi ndio tuliondoa hawa wazungu.
However, the glaring truth is that the Mau Mau freedom fighters have not been speaking in one voice, and the apparent cracks might hamper any efforts to assist them. Those who are not included in the list of the 5,228 beneficiaries are optimistic over phase 2 of the compensation process. And while the money set aside as compensation is not enough, what matters most to them is that the British government did apologize for the atrocities committed against the freedom fighters, and what remains is for land equity to be realized. Carol Derry for KTN in Githiru, Nyeri County.
Now, on the 20th of October every year, Kenyans celebrate what we now call Mashujaa Day. It was previously known as Kenyatta Day and was celebrated to commemorate the detention in Kapenguria of freedom fighters Achieng' Oneko, Bildad Kagia, Fred Kubai, Kungu Karumba, Jomo Kenyatta and Paul Gay, often collectively referred to as the Kapenguria Six. Now, following the promulgation of the Constitution of Kenya in 2010, a number of changes were made to the nation's calendar. Moi Day, that was celebrated on the 10th of October, was scrapped, and Kenyatta Day renamed Mashujaa Day to collectively honor all those who contributed to the fight for Kenya's independence. Tomorrow, President Uhuru Kenyatta will be presiding over this holiday for the first time following his election into office in March this year. His deputy will, however, be absent as he is currently attending his trial at The Hague. Now, this is for those who are self-employed and who are remitting their monthly NHIF contribution, which requires a long journey to NHIF branch offices. Now, this has now been simplified for you, and that long trip may be a thing of the past thanks to an innovation from a physics teacher of St. Patrick's High School in Iten, Elgeyo Marakwet County. Mercy Kandia tells us how.
35-year-old Michael Kiplimo is a physics teacher at the St. Patrick's High School in Iten, Elgeyo Marakwet County. Kiplagat loves physics, a love that developed into creativity, putting his knowledge into practice.
I discovered one thing, that 80% of the Kenyan population, they own phones. But 80 of these, 20% of the 80 are in the formal sector. 60% are in the informal sector. Then I decided that let me design a program where anytime they are topping up, once you top up using that airtime card, 10% of your value of the card will be automatically detected into your NHIF account. And you can even easily assess how much money you have accumulated in your account.
He came up with the technology in 2010. The goal was to enable Kenyans, especially those in the informal sector, to save up for their health insurance, NHIF. The essence was that in a day, one person in the informal sector uses at least 20 shillings of airtime. The same person who may be unable to raise the money when he or she is taken ill.
If 6 million of these chooses to use this program, and they're assuming that each one of them is willing to save 2 shillings, then you will always say this 6 million times 2 shillings, NHI will be getting around 12 million per day times that, which will go to around 400 million per month.
The patent program, if adopted, will require one to register by dialing *127#, being identified by either mobile, ID or NHIF number. Then for every amount of airtime used, 10% is automatically transferred to the individual's NHIF account or contributed to another account.
Hii program tunaunga mkono kwa sababu kweli saa zingine unaweza sahau kwenda kulipa penye wanalipia pesa ya NHIF.
The residents of Iten are elated about the idea. It will save them even more money, considering many have to travel to neighboring county, Uasin Gishu, to access the NHIF pay points.
Napeleka 400 every month na inanikosti 240 kupeleka every month.
Kiplimo has been in negotiations with NHIF and Safaricom over the adoption of the mobile check-off dubbed Tomorrow Account Limited, but was put on hold after the suspension of its top management over a string of scandals at the NHIF.
I did my PowerPoint presentation. Then from there, I do not understand what went on.
Kiplimo tells me he is determined to ensure millions of Kenyans access affordable healthcare and has renewed his negotiation with NHIF, hoping that the health scheme will adopt the technology to enhance its efficiency. As the education sector hopes to go digital with the laptop project, these women here tell me that the new initiative, saving using your airtime, would be the best ever for the healthcare system. For the more you talk, the more you save, and the better healthcare you get to get. Mercy Kandia, KTN, Iten, Elgeyo Marakwet County.
Congratulations, Michael Kiplimo, and that is a great innovation and one that definitely must spread out across the country. We want to take a short break right now on KTN Weekend Prime, but when we come back, lots more news for you, including Job Center and that conversation I had with Dr. Manu Chandaria. Please do stay with us. of an investment, you may want to consider ostrich rearing.
To encourage people to come up with ostrich farms. The way, even if you go to outside the wall, you will find many countries are practicing ostrich farming. As in Kenya, you will find some people are now coming up with ostrich farms. This ostrich farming is really very, very important, and it's very, very good because you can accrue a good profit from it. When you keep ostrich, remember, as I told you, a lot of products are sold. So you will get a lot of money from this ostrich. And also, ostrich farming, one advantage to ostrich, they are very resistant to diseases. So you'll not be disturbed with every time you'll find sickness and such. They have high immune system. So ostrich farming is very nice.
You are watching KTN Weekend Prime.
Welcome back. Here's what's happening in the world of sports. 2013 Berlin Marathon champion Florence Kiplagat and World Marathon pacemaker Philemon Rono were winners of the 22nd edition of the University of Eldoret Cross Country Championships at the university grounds held today. Kiplagat did not show signs of fatigue as she navigated the 8-kilometer field with relative ease to win in 24 minutes 49.9 seconds. Eunice Chebichi came second in 24 minutes 55.1 seconds, while Jacqueline Chepniano was third. Kiplagat's victory was clearly a good initiation into the National Cross Country Series, which starts next month in Nairobi. Now, it is exactly 1 week to the 11th edition of the Standard Chartered International Marathon. But Limo Karone is not among the athletes preparing to contest for the 1.5 million shillings winner's prize. Instead, he is fundraising in between his training schedules as he wants to take part in a race in Panama. Victor Gale is next with Limo's story of undying spirit.
The towering athlete has been attempting to break into the lucrative races, and that is why he sets out to the valleys of Ngong, where he trains, covering over 30 kilometers daily. His aim is to take part in the IMS Panama International Marathon in November.
In 2002 nikasikia Ngong ni mzuri, wakimbiaji wanatoka Eldoret, wanatoka everywhere, wanatrainia kule Ngong kwa maana Ngong ni iko high altitude.
He is not short of talent, but his pockets have not supported his initiative. Initially, he thought the sit in the sun would solve all his problems, but the worst was yet to happen. Life was hard for Limo, who met fellow athletes who had similar or worse predicaments, and together they had to literally team up in a bid to beat the hard times and hopefully realize his dream.
Tukaenda internet, tukajaribu kuomba races. Nikaonelea nchi kama South America, Panama, Uruguay na Paraguay na Brazil na Costa Rica kuna races mingi.
We sought to know why he is not taking part in some of the road races being organized in the country, as the prize monies may help change his financial situation.
Tuko wakimbiaji wengi na yenyewe unaweza kimbia ukiwa hata namba 10, namba 20 na ukiwa hata namba 200. We are good runner kwa hapa Kenya.
Despite Kenya being an athletics powerhouse, Joel Karone Limo is among the thousands of athletes who suffer in silence despite being talented. Victor Ogale, KTN Sports.
Now, I know that the story that Sharon Momanyi brought to you this evening was a little bit depressing about what happened, but here is something to end the show with on a rather good note. Now, a 9-year-old blind girl in the U.S. state of California has become one of the best cross-country runners in her grade. Her name is Heaven Vallejos, and she hasn't let blindness prevent her from running, competing, and enjoying the outdoors just like others her age. The 4th grader has only been running with an elementary team for a few weeks and says she wants to do a triathlon. Heaven surprised her family on the first day of school when she told them she wanted to join the athletics team. She was born with premature retinopathy and has been blind her entire life. But with the help of her coach, she has already shaved more than 3 minutes off her personal best time in just 6 weeks. That's what she's able to do. How about you? What are those things that are holding you back? Think about that as you have a great evening. We thank you so much for watching this edition of KTN Weekend Prime. We will be back again tomorrow night. In the meantime, have a restful night. My name is Yvonne Okwara. Good night.